Hi there, welcome back to the YouTube channel. We're back again looking at the other alternate commander from the other Edge of Eternity's commander deck. And it is going to be Szarel, Genesis Shepard, 2 black, red and green for a 2/5 insect druid. And flying. Okay, well it's an insect, makes sense. You can play lands from your graveyard. Okay, it goes along well with the actual station that's in the actual commander deck, but whenever you sacrifice another non-token permanent during your turn, put a number of +1/+1 counters equal to Szarel's power on up to one other target creature. This is quite fun. A nice thing that lets you sacrifice non-token permanents to pump up the power and toughness on your other creatures. Okay, we can do this. Bit of fun today, so here we go. Hope you enjoy this one. So we're in the 3 colours that always means bird of paradise. We're in green, so birds here. And then because we're in the Jund colours, Ignoble Hierarch makes an appearance for this deck. We've got Hajar, the loyal bodyguard. It's quite nice, this one, because you can sacrifice it to give all your legendary creatures you control +1/+0 and indestructible. But since it's inbuilt sacrificing itself, you can sacrifice it and chuck around some more +1/+1 counters. So, you know, yeah, fine by me. Jury, Master of the Review is the best thing you can put the counters onto when you're sacrificing them, though. If you've got Jury and playing Szarel, you can make Jury really, really big, very, very quickly, and then basically find a way to sacrifice Jury off to basically nuke someone on site. That's how I look at it. Croxer, Titan of Death's Hunger, just comes in with built-in sacrifice when you play it for the first time. Obviously, when you escape it, you don't need to worry about it, but, you know, the built-in sacrifice is quite nice. Azusa, Lost But Seeking, lets you play those lands from your graveyard when you need them. And Baba Langza, Night Witch, comes in to give us another way of sacrificing 3 permanents. And if there are 3 or more card types among the sacrificed permanents, each opponent loses 3, you gain 3, and you draw 3 cards. A little bit tricky, this one, but again, it's another way of sacrificing permanents if you need to. Also, Braid, Arisen Nightmare. At the end step, you still get to sacrifice something, and then hopefully chuck around some more +1/+1 counters if you do it right. But to make sure that we can get rid of the creatures and make sure we sacrifice things to start building things up with the +1/+1 counters, we have got Demon's Disciple and all the equivalents in the deck as well. So we'll get to them in a second, but we all know what the Demon's Disciple does. Doomed Necromancer is just a fun one to return something big from your graveyard. And Etherith, Viceroy of Plunder. Another sacrifice outlet, and you can put a +1/+1 counter on the Viceroy, and if it was a treasure, you gain lifelink. But when Evereth dies, you may pay 1 in a black or red, and it deals damage equal to its power to each opponent. Another fantastic target for Szarel when you get there. Fane the Broker just gives you another way of sacrificing creatures off to get some counters kicking around. And then here comes the next one of the 3/1 sacrifice everything Fleshbag Marauder. Gluttonous Hellkite is a bit of fun from my point of view. I'm trying it in this deck. I'm not sure if it should be in here. I think it should be at the end of the day, because you can cast this and each player sacrifices X creatures, and then the Hellkite enters the battlefield with 2 +1/+1 counters on it for each creature sacrificed this way. Now, it doesn't have haste, it has flying and trample, so you do have a turn where you're probably sitting there going, whoops, targeted removal, here we go. But it's still a little bit fun, and it gives you another way of sacrificing your creature permanents, well, your non-token permanents off to get the +1/+1 counters. So bear it in mind. Gravelighter is the next one from the 3 mana. Let's sacrifice something when it dies. Comes in. And then one of the new cards, actually coming in from the same commander deck that Szarel's in, Horizon Explorer. Lands you control enter untapped, and whenever you attack a player, you get a lander token, which is basically a token version of Rampant Growth. So, yeah, okay. Mayhem Devil, no brainer. We're in a sacrifice deck. Why would you not have it in here? Merciless Executioner and Prey Crafter are all in, doing their whole let's sacrifice things when they hit the plague. And then Tireless Tracker. Another one, land gives you clue tokens, sacrifice a clue, you get a +1/+1 counter on the Tireless Tracker, obviously, and the card draw that could be useful. Vraska the Silencer also makes an appearance from Outlaws of Thunder Junction. Another non-token creature you control dies, you may pay 1. If you do, return that card to the battlefield tapped under your control, and it's a treasure. Gives you a way of ramping up your mana, especially if you can afford to sort of like pay 4 mana for your Demon's Disciples and such like going forward. So, yeah, 4 mana, get 1 back, it's not the end of the world. Roe Strider, just another way to sacrifice creatures off if you need to make sure you can sacrifice your permanents. And Baloth Prime. Yeah, we like this one. Enters with 6 stun counters on it. That's fine. But whenever you sacrifice a land, create a 2 untapped 4/4 green beast creature token and untap this creature. So you do have ways of making sure you can keep your Baloth Prime untapped. It's just a shame it hasn't got any evasion as such. But hey, it's coming in. Disciple of Bolus gives a way to gain some life and draw some cards. And Genova, Ancient Calamity. Chuck around some more of those +1/+1 counters on a target creature. You can chuck them on Szarel, which means whenever you sacrifice something, they get sort of like 3 counters, and if you do it again, 4 counters, so on and so forth. Having the mutants around to draw the cards isn't the end of the world either. Oracle Muldine, no brainer for the extra land draws and drops. Shattergang Brothers, another way of sacrificing creatures off, or a pinch sacrificing enchantments or artifacts. We've got a few, but not many. Soul of the Windgrace just gives you a way of having a big beater that comes into play. You may put a land card from your graveyard onto the battlefield tapped under our control when it attacks or enters. Well, when it's the battlefield or enters, attacks. I'll slow down. But then you get to discard lands to draw 3 cards, discard lands to gain 3 life, draw a card, or make the Soul of Windgrace indestructible, which is always sometimes helpful. Valgavoth, Harrower of Souls is here because, well, I just wanted another slot and I just love playing this demon, so you can drop this and put something else in if you want to. Maybe one of the landfall creatures. Cavalier of the Night, another way of sacrificing something off and basically making sure you can kill something that's annoying you. And yeah, the traditional sacrifice guys here. Kolvard, Fakehurst King had to be here for this deck, didn't it? There's no other way around it. Likewise, Mazarek, the Kroll Death Priest, just makes this bigger. Put a +1/+1 counter on each creature you control. Yeah. Okay then. I'm happy with that plan. From there, Summon Titan, just so we can go and get the lands and mill and all the rest of it. The Git Rod monster just gives away sacrificing something else each turn. Just to point out that Mazarek lets you say any sacrificing permanent gets a +1/+1 counter on each creature you control. So, and it works with the Git Rock monster. You can sack a land off, get the counters if you've got Mazarek in play. Szarel gets bigger, you can play the land from your graveyard. You know the score. Wisteria Nikru Queen is also in as well. Deals combat damage to a player. That player sacrifices a creature. If that player can't, you get your nice little red, black and green cat dragon creature token with flying. Yagra, Eater of All, makes everything a food. So, yeah, another way you can sacrifice things off if you need to. Lumara, Bellower of the Woods, is here just to give us power and toughness equal number of lands we control, and then we mill 4 and return all our lands from the graveyard to the battlefield tapped. Avenger of Zendikar is one of the landfall payoff creatures I was talking about earlier. I haven't put Ravenous Baloths in. You can go and put them in if you want to as well, but I've avoided it for now. And then, because I like it, Vaultborn Tyrant is in just so we can gain some life and draw a card, hopefully, and have a copy version come back. Sorceries, well, there's Farseek, there's Nature's Law, there's 3 visits, which you would expect in any green-based deck. Eldritch Evolution goes and finds us one of our bigger creatures if we need it to. Damnation controls the board. Living Death brings everything back that we might have sacrificed off at some stage. Soul's Majesty gives us a whole load of card draw, and then Blasphemous Axe controls the board for us alongside Damnation. Instance, just the 2. Ancient Grudge, because we know there's always going to be soul rings or arcane signets or medallions or crystals or whatever. Lots of artifacts that you can target, and flashing it back for the green is not the end of the world. And finally, Heroic Intervention from the instant side of it, so we can make sure everything's hexproof and indestructible when we need to keep it around. Artifacts wise, well, Elixir of Immortality is here, shuffle everything back in when it goes pear-shaped. And one of the new cards, Exploration Broodship, is in. It's a station, so you'll know the station ability now. You have to tap creatures to basically put people on the station. It should be crew, but we're not going into that conversation today. And then when you've got 3 or more people on the station, you can play an additional land on each of your turns, and then 8 or more becomes a 4/4 flying spacecraft with once during each of your turns you may cast a permanent spell from your graveyard by sacrificing a land in addition to paying its other costs. So it gives you a little bit of sort of mono green reanimation at the cost of a land. Yeah, cope with that. Lava Spur Boots protect Szarel. Soul Ring for the ramp along with Arcane Signet. Swiftfoot Boots are here again to possess Szarel. Birthing Pod is another way of sacrificing things off that we can go and fetch better creatures out of our library with. and the Great Henge, because we're in green, we should be able to get there and gain the 2 life and get the mana and the cards and all the rest of it. You know what the Great Henge does, I don't need to talk about it. Enchantments, new one from the set itself, bioengineered future. 1 and 2 green. Whenever this enchantment enters, you get a lander token, and each creature you control enters with an additional +1/+1 counter on it for each land that enters the battlefield under your control this turn. Very nice with the sack lands, as you can imagine. Have this in play. You play one of the search lands. That means you've got 2, so your creatures start coming with 2 +1/+1 counters on them. Lovely with Szarel as well. Growing Rights Vitlamok are here just to make sure we can go and find the things we need and eventually do the Impression of Gaze Cradle. Journey to Eternity, just so we can protect Szarel if we need to. Cast this on Szarel. If Szarel gets killed off, you get to have it come back, and as you know, Journey to Eternity flips into the Cave of Eternity, so you can return your creature cards from your graveyard to your battlefield. Likewise, you can put the enchantment on a creature you're about to sacrifice, so yeah, not the worst plan. Finally, Riveteer's Ascendancy, not one you probably expected to see. Whenever you sacrifice a creature, you may return target creature card with lesser mana value from your graveyard to the battlefield tapped. Do this only once each turn. Another way of reanimating some of the things you may be sacrificing off. Lands, alongside the Growing Rights and the Journey, which gives us 2, we've got 38 in here. All of the black, green and red lands you can imagine are here. I haven't played Temple of the False God or the Reliquary Tower for a change, left them at home alone, but all the other ones you can imagine are here, and that's it. One last thing I will point out, which I didn't mention in the deck, because there's Birthing Pod and Eldritch Evolution and Field of Dead as one of the cards in the land slot, we are talking a bracket 3 upgraded deck today, so just bear that in mind when you're looking at Szarel. But that is all of it for now. That is my take on the other alternate commander from the Age of Eternity's pre-con decks. The rest of this week's going to be a bit funny because a lot of the videos coming up are pre-recorded before I've gone on holiday, so I'm trying to fit in some Age of Eternity's ones. So if you watch any of the other videos this week, sorry if the starts are a bit random, me talking about my holiday. As you watch this, I am on holiday with the wife and my dog, and I'll be back streaming in a couple of weeks, so keep your eyes out. And yeah, thanks for watching. Please hit the like, subscribe and share buttons, help me beat the YouTube algorithm and get my numbers up a bit more. But I'll be back tomorrow with one of the decks I pre-recorded, so keep your eyes open for that, and I'll see you very soon. Have a good one. Bye bye.